Delighted to have in the studio with us today a couple of buds in ministry with us, and one of them is Bud, and also Kevin. Bud represents YFC, and Kevin Hearts with the Mission. And you've heard us for the last several months and weeks talk about the fact that these two great youth ministries are now joining together. And I think it's just one of the great things that's happening in our community. And guys, I really want to commend your heart and what you guys are doing, and how the Lord has led you to work together. And now you're coming down to the final stages. You're going to form this union, and you're going to open up the City Life Community Center. What's this all about? We'll start with you, Bud.
Well, it's 14, 15 months ago. Kevin and I were, I'm not even sure what we met about in the first place, but I just was, listening to what he was thinking of doing and what the needs of Hearts with a Mission were in regards to recreation space for their kids. Also, we had been mentoring. Hearts with a Mission has been, opening the door for Youth for Christ mentors to get involved in the lives of kids, and talking about how that's been working and connecting, and the value of having relationships that will go beyond just the time when the kids are at the shelter. And so out of that, Kevin shared his interest in having more rec space and doing something like a community center. And Youth for Christ for the last 15 years has been doing youth centers and community centers, and so that's where we saw really an opportunity to network and come together. And it's been fun. Been fun to work with Kevin. Been fun to bring this whole project together.
Well, here we are again, building something.
Yeah, go figure, right?
And it's going to be next door to your current facility.
Yeah, we're in the final phases of getting all of our permits lined up, and we've actually tore down the two buildings that were already there, so we're committed.
Yeah.
It's all in, and it's exciting of what God's doing. I think that's the most important thing that Bud and I have wanted to be a part of.
Well, what's so interesting, and I just want to commend both of you, in today's real world of ministry and resources and yet effectiveness, you realize there was more to be gained by joining the two ministries and working together than there would be you doing your thing and him doing your thing, and then somewhere along the line maybe they cross. And I think this is going to set a trend in the future where a lot of these parachurch ministries are going to be involved. We've got to come together. I mean, there's some resources among all of us that we can work together, and at the end of the day, the community is served. And I want to talk about the City Life Community Center. Now, it's also going to house both of your administrations.
Correct.
But it's going to also be a community center for young people, because Hearts with a Mission, you don't have room, you can't do that, and you need space to do that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Give me a little thought on that.
Yeah, one of the things that is a requirement of youth that are staying at the shelter is that they have to go to school. And really, we didn't have a place where we could have a computer lab or a place for kids just to go be kids and hang out. One of the things that as Hearts with a Mission now has been open for 3 years, we've learned that kids really need counseling, and they need somebody that is an expertise in that way, but we didn't have room for it. Mm-hmm. So this will give us an off-site right next door, a direct connection where our kids can go over there, they can do their homework, they can receive counseling, but then we can open it up to like parent groups, and we can open it up to a foster care license where parents can, people that want to engage and would be willing to be a foster parent, where they can come down, they can be trained, and we now have the room to be able to do that.
This is also common, right, Bud, for ministry?
Sure.
Yeah, because you can't necessarily do that at your place directly, but indirectly you can at this place.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah, and bouncing off of your comment earlier about us coming together, and really, truly, we hope this is a spark for, more, Christ-centered, Christ-centered collaboration. The organizations are going to stay separate, but it really became evident as we were chatting is, both organizations network perfectly. We mesh perfectly in the life of a kid. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's room for other organizations really in the life of a kid and the life of an individual, and really this is beyond kids. It's community oriented. Right. And so we want to engage the lives of kids, but also their families. And that's where, boy, the church can come and really support a kid, a family and be Christ in their life.
You know,
be
and
incarnational.
that's the other thing I want to kind of point out here. A couple of things. Number one, you're going to have an event coming up April 11th, and this is going to be kind of the launch of the union, so to speak. It's going to be held at Mountain View Christian Fellowship downtown on the 11th. So mark that down on your calendar. You're going to come and hear a lot about how these two organizations are working together. But here's what's really neat about this, and correct me if I don't have all the details, but so often churches wanted to do something to the community, but there wasn't a place or a way to get the community served. And so by creating the City Life Community Center, you've actually created a platform for all the churches. If they want to make a difference in a young person's life, it all comes together at that place. Exactly. Am I explaining that right?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah, and the reality is, you know, I know it's our passion, and Kevin too. You know, we have our community and we have the body of Christ, and we want to be kind of the glue that maybe comes and glues those things together, yeah. And you know, allows the body of Christ to reach effectively into the families of our neighbors and really impact our community through being, you know, Christ to people in our neighborhood.
And the testimonies coming out of both of your organizations separately and then collaboratively is that it's amazing to me how many kids are hurting, how many kids need help. I mean, we hear these numbers, we hear these figures, and if we're not careful, they just kind of null our brain and we pass them off. The fact is, it's a real need in this community. I mean, you're serving homeless children. I mean, in Jackson County, Oregon, yes, you know, you're serving students in the campuses and things like that, coming from broken homes or fatherless homes or drug homes and everything else that kind of comes together. I mean, what an incredible opportunity for the gospel to reach our community at that level. Because if we can impact a young person, we change their life forever.
There's an opportunity for the church, I think, probably as ever before in this nation, where people are desperate. Kids are desperate for somebody to love them. I mean, the breakdown in the family and the breakdown in really our community as a whole, that we just don't have aunts, uncles nearby. We don't have neighbors that are involved in our lives. Kids are abandoned at a high level. And that really became evident. You know, we're working with the same kids, and they're at a homeless place, but we're working with them before they get there or after they get there, but the same kids. And there's just such an opportunity for people that love the Lord and love others to get involved and meet those needs.
You know, Hearts with a Mission, Kevin, has been somewhat a model, because that all born out of your heart reading a newspaper article that there's a lot of homeless kids out of there. I mean, I'm paraphrasing it, but that's what happened. And here we are several years later, and you're full, aren't you?
Yeah, and it shouldn't be acceptable. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, somebody that loves Jesus, you know, you should be able to look at the situation and say, I'm not going to allow that to happen. You know, and sometimes you hear the rally cry, you know, not in my backyard. Right. Well, we should take that, you know, that if it's a matter, every kid that comes through those doors is lacking one thing, and that's love. Yeah. And that's something that all of us have the ability, you know, with Christ in us, to give that to them.
Wow. Well, I want to remind you, mark this down, April 11th, and it's going to be at Mountain View Christian Fellowship, where it's going to be an event. It's the launching event of Hearts with a Mission and Youth for Christ, launching the City Life Community Center right here in Medford. And I can also say that by God's grace, about 80% of the funds needed to do this are already in place.
Absolutely.
Through various means and miracles, you know. So to 20% to finish off a community center really is hardly anything, and we can accomplish that. I'm confident of that. But the other part of that is, I know people who are saying, what can I do for the Lord? And this center is going to provide an opportunity. Give me some volunteer ideas, people.
Well, the project itself, whether you want to come down
pound
and
nails.
pound nails, and or you know, sweep a floor or whatever. That's going to be part of it.
Yeah.
But you know, as Kevin has said a number of different times, it's like when the project's done, the work is really just beginning. And so that's where we're going to need folks that want to get involved and be engaged in.
And you'll train them, volunteers?
Absolutely.
You'll train them how to do the what I don't know, what do you need them for?
Not necessarily the counseling. I mean, even now we have people that are making meals for kids that are staying at the shelter. We can make meals for an entire community. We'll have a place now where we can actually feed, you know, down in the Liberty Park area. Having parenting classes where we can open that up. You know, talk about volunteering, what better way to not really have to know anything other than I'm a parent, I can come support a parent that's hurting. You know, maybe their youth is staying, you know, next door, but I can sit along beside of them.
Well, guys, I am so stoked about what you guys are doing, because I just think this is the trend that we need to do. I think we need to find ways to work together. We serve, in many ways, we serve the same people. In many ways, our supporters are the same people. In many ways, our passion as it relates to Jackson County and beyond is the same. And this is the beginning of something I think is really great. So looking forward to it. April 11th, mark that down. April 11th, going to be at Mountain Christian Fellowship downtown Medford. Of course, we want to get it downtown because that's close to the center. And I think you need to come and hear the vision, see how maybe you want to get involved financially or volunteer-wise, see what's going on, hear the testimony. Should be a great evening. So, Bud and Kevin, thanks, man.
Oh, thank you,
Thank
Perry.
You guys
Perry.
are great. All right.
Yeah.